Okay. Okay, Hari Mamelani. Okay, Hari Mamelani. Bantse bangodisa mane. Bantse bangodisa ke kopa re khutseng. Can we all keep quiet? Hello? Can we all keep quiet whilst you are registering? Silently do that. Just do that silently. Okay. Let's do it right. Can we all stand up? Now, we are not going to ask someone to pray. We will all bow our heads. Pray for yourself. We don't want someone else to pray for you. Pray for yourself. Thank you. Thank you. We may be seated. Let me thank all of you, and I want to observe the following protocol. I want to acknowledge the presence of Paramount Chief Reuben Sam Dovey, Links Corona Royal House. I also want to welcome Councillor Tom Alexandra of Links Royal House, Senior Chief William Martins, Chief Dion Vetboy, Chief Diacher, Headwoman Annie Dovey, Headwoman Salmin Janchis. For those leadership that I have not acknowledged, it is not deliberate, because on my roll call here, they have not been registered. So please don't think that it is deliberate. It is not. It cannot be done so. Having said that, I want to officially open this meeting and do the following remarks. Ke se ke itse ke amotse ye mong le mong ya teng kwano sepheo le morero wa kopano ena ke ho tla nonya maikutlo setjhaba, is to listen to what the public and the community is saying. Our role here is not to tell you what to say. It's for you to say, this is what we think should happen. Now let me advise, because we are going through all the districts across the Free State. And the purpose of going to these public hearings, there was an outcry from the leadership, the chiefs of Khoisan, that they are not included in the House of Traditional Leaders. Now, when you raise issues that warrants a law to be put in place, the first response that the government does, the department responsible does, is to develop a bill to respond to the issues that you have been raising. It is what we are bringing forward to you, to say, this is what the bill is saying. And then you will comment, make input on that. Why I'm raising this thing is that you find quite often people do not speak on the bill. And when you don't speak on the bill, it means you don't have input. And when you don't have an input, when we consolidate, go to the legislature, we will be saying on the bill when we arrive in Mukaka, there was nothing, because you did not speak on the bill. Now I'm making an upfront appeal that as public, as communities, I humbly request, please make your input on the bill, so that when we leave the area, we must have an input from Mukaka on the bill itself. Bommele bontate, ha re le mona re mona ka seka molao, me hangata ha o na le makukuno kapa ho na le dintho tse le batlang hore ho be le diphetoho ho tsona, mme ditaba tsa mofuta o di hloke hore ho tjhentjhuwe molao ho latela ka tsamaiso ya puso. Ha o tjhentjhwe fela molao, ho tlamehile ho etsuwe pele seka molao. Jwale be seka molao sena lefapha le ikarabellang ha le qeta ho se etsa, jwale ebe ho thwe ha se qeto ya setjhaba, e tla ba qeto ya setjhaba ha setjhaba se se sinontswe maikutlo. Jwale ha re le mona re tlo le nonya maikutlo, ke tla ikopela re skempe ra tsamaya ka thoko, hobane ha re tsamaya ka thoko fela ha e re thuse hore diphehiso tsa lona ke difeng. Jwale ke kopa re bue hodima tsona, re tle re tsebe ho utlwana. So there are gadgets that are given to members of the public. Those gadgets are like this. They are meant to translate to you, because the presenter of the bill is going to present in English. But there is nothing that stops you to contribute in your own mother language. That's why we do have this Because around and with us, we have interpreters that are changing whoever that is on the podium speaking. Then that person can then translate the language into the language that you understand. Right? And they are here. We have 12 languages. And the 12th language is for people that cannot hear. They use what we call a sign language. That is on my right. They are doing that. If you don't hear, you have a challenge of hearing, you just look at them because you understand the sign language. Then you'll understand what they are or the presenter will be saying. Now, when we are done, up front, these gadgets, they will have to come back, because when we go to the next area, we will need them. So please don't make a mistake and think that, my goodness, I now have these things, let me go and use them. They don't work in your house. It's okay when we try to assist somewhere, I'm not going to tell you where, a person, when he got it, put it in the pocket. I'm not suggesting that you must do that. But when you do it, you will regret it because when you arrive home, you try to put this into your own gadgets, quiet and nothing. They are not working. So I plead with you, when we are done, bring them back, so that when we go to the others can be able to benefit. From here, we'll be going to Lijolipucha. We were in Kwakwa yesterday. From here, we go to Lijolipucha. Same thing, because we want to hear what the people are saying. That's what is going to happen. We have a presenter from Department of Cocta, that is Advocate Nong, who is going to present the bill to you. Advocate Nong, can you stand? That's the presenter that is going to present to yourselves. Thank you very much. I also want to indicate it's not in our culture to let people standing, but we had a challenge of chairs. There are seats, those that are coming, there are still empty seats here. But I pleaded that you give the old people first. Then young people can stand because their knees and everything are still very strong. But once the rest of the chairs arrives, then we can all take our chairs and sit. Jwale ke tle ke ikopele he hore dintho tsena tse utlwellang hole ska e nka hlewa e kenya ka hara pokotho o re ha ba nkutlwe ebile ha ba mpona, ska e kenya ka hara pokotho. Ha o fitla hae o tla re wa e connecta ho tsantsa ha o tsa ha e sebetse, e etseditswe yona ntho ena e re etsang. Jwale bo qeteletse o ikwahlaile hore modimo ne ke etsang batho ba modimo goba ntho ena ke ena ha e sebetse. Jwale e tla bo re senyeditse fela nako. Right. My name is Sam Mashinini. I am the chairperson of this committee. With me, I have members of the committee. I'm going to start on my left. Right at the extreme left, it's Honorable Kleinans. Stand up and greet the people. Next to her, I have Honorable Tsiu. who is also a member of the committee. Matthew. Next to Matthew, I have Honorable Vusimuzi Chabalala. Not Vusi, Vusimuzi Chabalala. And greet the people. On my right, I have Honorable Kwekwe Bulwana. Next to Honorable Bulwana is also the chairs of chairs. Ka Sesotho ke modula stulo wa badula stulo. Next to Ntate Bulwana, I have Me Elenyana Chief Whip Yarona. Ona le ntho etsa etse mona king ke na le Me Sara Moleleke. Me and her, we can box one another. We can box one another. Harbeta box anatso aye kwana le nna ke kwana. But tomorrow we come back. Me Sara Moleleke. All right. I have now introduced who are the people that are here. I have said why we are here. Now I will be going to, and all the people, by the way, when you enter there, you must have a sticker here. You must have a sticker here. Because when we break off, we finished our business and have something that goes into the stomach. That sticker, it's going to help us. So make sure that you have the speaker. Don't make quarrels after that. Say, hey, they don't want me to have something. You must have that sticker on you. So now, let the work begin. Ntate no. The floor now is yours on the bill. I'm going to request all of you to listen and be quiet so that even a person who has a challenge on hearing can hear what Ntate Nong will be doing. Ntate Nong, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay.
Ona le batho ba ileng ba ikukela botelele jwalo ka rona. Ona le ba bang ba ikuketseng bokgutshwanyane. Jwale tlamele ne di fetole ntho tsena. A re entate.
Okay. Modula Stulo, the chairperson, and the entourage, as well as the Khoisan traditional leaders and the community as a whole at large, I'd like to welcome you to this event where we are going to present the bill. And I think the chairperson, you have said a mouthful during your introduction, outlining the purpose of today's meeting, which is really to elicit responses, comments, representations from your good self, that will influence the manner in which the legislature is going to finally enact this bill and turn it into an act. I'll be a little bit technical there and there. And Chairperson, I think that today's presentation will be much briefer, as it will be influenced by the kind of discussion and the level of participation that we had in Coatwa. But justice will not be served if we don't refer to the legislative background to that influence today's bill, the bill that's going to be presented today. This bill is called the Free State Provincial and Local Houses of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders Amendment Bill. It was initially drafted in 2019. As you'll see, it has a bill's number at the end. What it seeks to do essentially is to amend the existing act. There's a difference between a bill and an act. Before an act becomes an act, it is called a bill. It was a sekamolao. So pele nna molao o feletseng, go nna le the public hearings like this one, tse ding di etswa ka notice on comment, tse leng di tlhagella mo government gazette, mo batho ba fiwang nako teng go etsa their written comments. So this one is going to be oral comments that are going to be noted to influence, and shape the nature of the bill in order to become an act. But I must state from the onset that the bill essentially affects the Khoisan community. The current act, which deals with leaders of provincial and local houses, the act number 7 of 2017, didn't make a provision, or there was no provision in terms of which Khoisan leaders could be accommodated in the provincial house. And this is largely influenced by the national legislation, which is called Traditional Leadership in Khoisan Act, which is normally called the TKLA. This national act came into effect on the 1st of April 2021. Although it traveled a very torturous, a journey, because it was first drafted as a bill in 2015. Then it had a lot of challenges, and threats, concerning its constitutionality and its legality, which culminated in
Tshwarelo Advocate morao moo ke kopa re thole ke le shebile ke kopa ha le kena monyako mane ge sentse re tswela pele re kopa le ske la etsa lerata, please tswela pele ntate.
Thank you, Chair. So this national act, which is called the TKLA, originally accommodated and made provision for the participation and recognition of Khoisan people in the provincial and local houses. Actually, it made history by first making an enabling provision that recognizes, because before you could be admitted before you could be admitted as a member of the provincial and local houses, you have to be admitted first. And admission, you have to be recognized, not admitted, you have to be recognized. And there are steps and procedures in terms of how that recognition is done. COCTA has developed standardized, easy to fill forms in terms of which a community that wants to be recognition has to go certain phases, in terms of which finally a commission will be set up to authenticate those requirements which the community may have put forward as a basis for recognition. So this bill, it found resonance from the TKLA. TKLA is sort of an enabling framework in terms of which all provinces must legislate under. It provides sort of an example or guideline as to how province must legislate with issues that deal with a traditional leadership and Khoisan matters. So, while the TKLA, it was still a bill by that time, it was called the TKLB, while it was still in process of trying to become an act. As I stated, it met a lot of challenges. So, the national drafters of the TKLB or the TKLA foresaw that the bill, the TKLB, might not be enacted due to challenges, that were standing on its pathway. And it was assented by the president in 2019. But it didn't come into operation until the 1st of April 2021. So it took almost 3 years before it became operational. So the National Department advised provinces not to wait for the enactment of the national legislation, but to amend their provincial legislation by making provisions that will cater first for the recognition and later for the admission of Khoisan people into the provincial and local houses. Provincial houses serve as a sort of a parliament of traditional leaders, and only senior traditional leaders are admitted into the provincial house. It has also its committees on constitutional and law and justice reform, on social development and what. So this act or this bill is sort of a basis which underscores the functions, or which underlines the functions, the duties and the responsibilities of traditional leaders that are serving in the provincial house. So basically this bill is very short, Chairperson. It has only 4 sections. For 4 sections, which, if everything goes well, say after this meeting and other meetings that the committee has undertaken and those that still has to undertake in future, if everything goes well and those comments are consolidated and sifted and are taken into consideration, hopefully this bill before the end of this year, because remember, next year is general election. We hope that by then this bill will pass all the necessary stages, legislative stages, and become a law. There are 4 or 5 position traditional leadership positions that are recognized in terms of the TKLA. The first one, they are in a hierarchical form. The first one is kingship and queenship. Those are the highest traditional leadership positions that are recognized in terms of the Act. And most of them are hereditary. In fact, The higher stages are mostly hereditary. It's only at the lower level, the headman and headwomanship, where you would find non-hereditary positions. Then the second one is a principalship. It is a new baby, which is a default position that came as a result of the situation where there were older positions which were archaic positions that were called paramountcies. Those were traditional leadership positions that were created by the apartheid system in order to divide, traditional community, divide and rule, the system which they used by then. So some of these positions remained in place until the act came into position, but because they were at the level similar to those of the kings, the act, by then it was called Traditional Leadership Leadership and Governance Framework Act, had a deeming provision. Deeming provision, people who understand labor law or labor legislation would know what is meant by deem. To deem is to regard something as is. So these paramountcies operated under a deeming provision. In Free State there were two. It was those of Likunu to Cavendish Mortar, and the other one I think in the Bakwenaba Mopedi, which used to be occupied by Mufumadi Tukwana Mopedi. So the incumbents on those positions, on those paramountcies, which were more or less at the level of the king, when those incumbents died, those positions of paramountcies were degraded to those of principalship. That's how the new leadership positions of principalship came into existence. Then just below the principal leadership position is a senior traditional leader, which normally is equated with the term the chief. The term chief is no longer used, it's senior traditional leader. Then the lower rank, that's where you find a headman and headwomanship positions. Because the Khoi were not catered for from the end, from the beginning, when the law was passed. Remember the constitutional provision that gives effect to, that recognizes traditional leadership institution is section 212 of the Constitution. And it also imposes an obligation on the national government, to pass a legislation, which is the TKLA. The government saw it fit to bring the Khoisan people on board by making a provision which will finally give them a chance, first to be recognized, and secondly to be admitted in all structures that are created for the participation of traditional leadership. So this bill is more or less a culmination of that processes. So the provinces were well ahead, but they lagged behind. It was only the national department that lagged behind because there were threats of court action. And finally that court action took place, I think it was last year, when the TKLA was declared unlawful and unconstitutional for a variety of reasons. But it doesn't mean that unconstitutional declaration meant the end of office operation. It has been suspended for 24 months, for government, to remedy the defects that were identified by the Constitutional Court. If you allow me to read the long title of the bill, it reads as follows. It is to amend the Free State, Provincial and Local Houses of Traditional Leaders Act, number 7 of 2007, in order to provide, first, for the recognition and representation of Khoisan communities. I'm advised it's called Khoisan, not Khoisan, but I stand to be corrected by the community that is present here. And leaders in the Free State Provincial House of Traditional Leaders, and to provide for the establishment of Khoisan councils and provide for matters connected therewith. While I'm still on the long titled, the minister has currently promulgated regulations in terms of which comments are also solicited, from the public and specifically the Khoisan communities, whereby the formula has been published for comments in terms of which Khoisan leaders who are going to participate, in terms of which how members of the Khoisan councils, which are the equivalent of traditional councils in traditional areas, how members of those councils are going to be elected and appointed. So I hope and believe maybe you've received the copies of the Gazette, so that you should make your input. And the last day for the input, I think it is last on the 20th, because they were published on the 13th of this month. So you can see there are a lot of movements, and there are parallel movements that are moving together in one direction. And as far as for the Khoisan people are concerned, the law makes provision for only 2 leadership positions. The one which is the senior Khoisan leader. I don't know at which level is that a position. Then the other one is a branch head. It's a branch head. Then the law also sets out, all the requirements that are needed in order for the community to put forward for the purpose of recognition. Currently, all provinces are not given that power to recognize, to accept applications for recognition. There's a national commission which is called National Commission on Khoisan Matters. It is in Pretoria. That's where all the applications are supposed to be sent to, as from the date when the Act came into effect. And there's a cut-off period within which, that commission has been given to operate, which is going to end next year on the 1st of April. So, if Khoisan people want to make applications for recognition, because I emphasized yesterday at the previous sitting at the previous committee sitting in Thabo Mofokeng, that the first important thing that the Khoisan people must do is to obtain recognition. And recognition can only be done only by the Premier and by the President. The President recognizes kings and queens, but currently the Khoisan applications are dealt by that commission. So when the cut-off date of the commission comes into effect next year, it is then that the provincial or all the provinces will be able to deal with applications for recognition of Khoisan people. So application for recognition of all leadership position and communities is still open. But it works as follows. For headmanship, kingship, for headmanship, senior traditional leadership position, applications are sent to the relevant provincial offices. For kingship and queenship, they are sent to the presidency, to the National Department of Cooperative. For Khoisan, as I stated, Currently, they must be sent to that commission in Pretoria. I don't have its address, but maybe if on inquiry, I can give you the address and the contact people who must provide you with application form. And I'm informed, but I'm speaking also under correction, that currently there seems to be not even a single Khoisan community that has been recognized. Because that commission was tasked to go throughout the province, to assist Khoisan communities to apply for recognition by giving them forms and helping to fill those application forms. But they indicated that there's a serious challenge relating to the completion of those forms. Apparently those forms are very complicated, and what complicates them further is a legislative requirement in terms of which the communities must state, the reasons why they apply, the requirements. I think those requirements are stated in, if you look at the bill, I think they're stated in, it is an insertion of section 3A. It reads, recognition of Khoisan community in a branch, 3A. Those requirements are stated there. That the community must have a history of self-identification by members of that community as belonging to a unique community distinct from all others, that it observes a distinctive established Khoisan customary law and customs, that it is subject to a system of hereditary or elected Khoisan leadership with structures exercising authority in terms of customary law and custom, that it has an existence of distinctive cultural heritage manifestation, and that it occupies a specific geographical area or various geographical areas together with other non-community. Then it goes further on the second page, and I think the requirements, legislative requirements that are on this page, I think that they are one that are giving challenge to the Khoisan community, to complete these form recognition forms. But a plea was made to the commission, people who are with the commission, just to make some of the requirements, just to modify or to make some of the requirements more understandable to the community, so that many of the applications should not be turned down, should not be refused. In the Free State, I understand there were only 2 unsuccessful applications that were returned from the community. I'm not sure where those applications are from. So briefly, I think, Chairperson, unless there's something that I missed, I think the bill is straightforward, short and straightforward. I think that's the end of my story, Chairperson. Thank you.
Realebua, Ntatenong, thank you very much. Let me reinstate how we are going to approach this. Firstly, you must understand that the bill seeks to ensure that the Khoisan community participate in the Provincial House of Traditional Leadership. First question, do you accept that bill's intention to ensure that the Khoisan are accepted into that? When you stand up, you must speak on that. The second one, which you need to also to look at, and I think advocate has emphasized that, is that you need to ensure that you have gone through the process of recognition, of being recognized. Because surely you can't have a person who is not part of Khoisan community and who does not even know and seeks to be part of Khoisa. That's why that form is there for you to register and ask questions that are very difficult, so that we must establish whether you are indeed part of the Khoisan community. So that's an issue that we are going to get involved. Say yes or no. Because remember, the act, the bill, is derived at trying to address the concerns of the community. The concerns have been saying, but in the house of traditional leaders in the province, Khoisan community is not part of it. Then for them, because there is an act that regulates that, for them to be able to form part of the provincial house of traditional leaders, the act has to be amended. And when you seek to amend the act, you must produce the bill, which is why I'm here. And that bill, it's not going to be a final thing unless the community has made input. That's where we are. So I'm going to request people to speak. If you feel you want to speak in any language, I've said from the beginning, you have the right to use the language that you feel comfortable to use. We've got 12 languages here. Speak. Mine and the leadership in terms of members of the community is not to say, no, you don't have to speak. But I've just warned you, ska hlahlathela, because how hlahlathela ha itlo re thusa. Seka molao sena se etseditswe hore re etseng jwang hore setjhaba sena sa Makgoisane le sona se nke karolo ntlong ya ketsamolao ya di traditional leaders ka hara province. Ke a utlwahala ke? All right, now I'm coming this side. I'm taking hands of people that are making input. Let me see hands on this side. Phamisanga tsorle theole. Right. Ke bona matsogo a mane 4. Jwale ke a fa mabitso a ona. Mabitso ke ana. Ndate mona ke number 1. Phamisa Morena. O number 2. O number 3. O number 4. Hona le mongwe ke mosia morao mo? Hona le mongwe ke mosia morao ka mona ka lehlakoreng lena? Ha le siyo ho lokile. Jwale o tsebe gore ha o hlahlathela ha ke tlo o thiba. E tla be le ya hao taba. Hobane jwale o tla boetsa input. Batle ba tlohe he o santsa ba bontsha ntate hore na batle ka kae. Jwale ke 4 fela. Jwale ke kopa o hle o qale he morenaka. Let the work begin. Okay. Number 1.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Chairperson of the session, and I acknowledge the leadership present here. I think it will be only proper to introduce myself. I'm Stephen John Barnes from Vredefort, Moate sub-region, Fesile district in the Free State. What I wanted to ask maybe from the leadership here, when the process is unfolded, in other provinces or other traditional leaders, like your Xhosa leadership, all of those were included within the government structures at all governance levels. Was there any community or consultation or processes for the Khoisans? And if not, why is it done now? And I think our politicians, they know the history of the Khoisan, and they should have begun there. I think I don't have to elaborate a lot on the issue of the Khoisan, where it came from, where it started. We also it on television on a daily basis. There's a program on SABC2 on every Wednesday. I think those who are following it knows where we came from. I'm speaking on behalf of my forefathers. I call myself an African, but I have the blood of the Khoisans. If you follow my history, I don't want to dwell too much into that. So I just wanted to know, why have you started somewhere and not, why have you started in other provinces or at other ethnic groups, but not starting from the Khoisan, who are in fact one of the indigenous ethnical groups of this country? That's my first question. Secondly, I just wanted to check with the leadership here. In fact, it's a question. Do you, as the leadership, recognize, before consulting us or making this public participations, do you recognize the Khoisan as the indigenous people of this country? Thank you.
Number 2.
Nna ke tlo bua ke le moahi wa Afrika Borwa, ebile ke wela groupung ya batho ba indigenous be re bitswang ka hore we are the Bantu people. As the African, ke wela tleneng yo thum rona re mangamane re Maswati. So concern ya ka ke tlo latela melao jwalo ka se bui motulasetulo a buile re tlamehile ha o qala o bua hore wa dumela kapa jwang. Nna ke a dumela hore batho ba bitswang di Khoisan la fela e se jwalo ba amohelwe he ka ga lefatshe le leng ke la bona hantle ntle re ba fumane mona. Ke tla ke tebe
Mamela hanyane re go thibe re ke le thibeng ke tla le fa sebaka ha ke batla ho utlwa maikutlo mo dumelleng a ntshe maikutlo a hae a re ntate.
Ke maswabi haholo ka dilemo tse ke nang le tsona ntate ke le ngwana a monyane tikolo e nanetsweng ke lona baholo ba rona ho fumana hore thuto e re rutwe sekolong ha se yona, empa tjhe ke kopela tshwarelo ho puso le mohlekefetsi wa puso ya sekoloniale e leng yena a laetsa hore batho ba le mo ba tswang teng. Ke kopele le ona morabe wa Khoisan hore ha se taba ya puso ya hona jwala democracy hore e la ya etsa phoso ya hore e se ke la le dumella hore le kene ka hara puso hore le be recognized, empa fela e le taba ya hore re le setjhaba sa Rantsho re ntse re leka ho kopana re kopanya di piece hore mo re tswang teng ke kae re hlekefeditsweng kaofela ebile re hlekefeditsweng ha mmoho ke kene tabeng e qala mona ha o bua ka makhoisene o ntso o tshwana la o bua ka the Bantu people empa rona re ikutlwisisa hore re na le Maxhosa re na le Mazulu re na le Maswati re na le Mabaqha re na le Manala re na le kaofela hore na Bantu ne le mang ha re tla originator from Congo mo re tswang teng empa ha e fihla bathong bana ho patuwe hore na ba tswa kae akere ene pele ba ba recognized ka hara puso ba lokela go fuwa lefatshe. You cannot recognize batho be leng ba indigent o ba kenya ka hara puso because of they are resourceless ke di descendant ebile we treated them as the slaves after even 1994 ya bobedi ho lokela hore ho recognize puo ya bona hobane ke utlwile ha se bui seema mona se bua ka 12 languages nna ke tseba 13 languages la haeba di tla fitla 14 because of amongst them ke the khoisene tse sa kenang le balobedi ha ba recognized as a language ba bela ka tlasa dipedi so re bua ka batho bana nana be le hore re ba bitsa di khoisene mara ka ha bona re na le Kurana re na le the Chu re na le the Namas you can mention them before government e ba recognize e hloka hore e ba recognize ka the House of the Pan-African Parliament pele e ba etsetse ntwe ka reng hore ba kopanye di pieces tsa bona hore ba kgone ho tsa self identification ena e buang ka yona hore ba tlo ba kgone ho kopanya di pieces hore bana ba tjena ne because of in my researches tse nna ntse ke ipalla tsona ke sheba hore these people they are the first people hore ba tswe ka hara the old ancient Kemet ancient nation belong some of their pieces ba thola ko Tanzania ba bitswa the Hazabe hona ba ntse ba le teng bo Congo hona le ba teng ba ntse ba le teng in southern Angola hore they are the true first Africans to migrate in the southern parts of southern Africa ne ho etsa ntse re sa di tsebeng ha ntse re migrate but rona re le di blacks South African le bona ntse re ba recognize as the black people ga ba overpower ha re utlwisisi gore ha re batla ho utlwa hore se ba se hlokang ke sefeng le hore re ba ananele jwang so ha ke batle puso ya rona ha e ba ananela ka e ba etsetsa favor jwalo ka o fumana hore di symbol tsa rona tsa naha hona le mane mo ngotsweng what tseo tse teng ho ba honor. You cannot honor a person alone indigent right to see hands le ba fa recognition ba find resources as land ba khona ho lema ba be le ditokelo tse hantle and ba kene syllabus ya rona ya ditho tsa rona tsa government dipuo tsa bona dikolong tsa bona ha ba rutwe puo ya bona ne thuto ya bona ya bongaka e utsitsweng ke the western societies mo tlo fumana hore meriana ya bona e ba itsebang inkuwe e rewe mabitso ya sebediswa mona na lefatsheng mare beng ba yona ba tlileng ka yona hore hoodie e khona ho etsa hore motho a fole eng what e khona ho etsa motho a fole eng e khona hore motho a etse moriana o itseng etsa ha ba e own into ha ba feel ditlhapiso for ntho tse ding tsa bona o utlwisisa so ke kopa re tswetswe Freistata ha re sebetsa ka batho ba ha ba se ka ba etsang our own political tool e leng hore re tlo banka ba tlo fuwa ditulo ba ditulo sa qabane se le fuwa dipalesi se le fuwa le mekgolo le tlo sebedisetswa hore le etse mandate wa hore jwalo ka ha le se le recognize se le opelwa matso e be le tlo sebediswa hore le be di political slaves tsa South Africa today after 30 years e tlo soka efa rona the Bantu people our land back kalibu.
Number 3, long live the undying spirit of Sarah Bartman, long live. Thank you very much, Chair. Ke udumedise le moifo wa hao here, members of the committee, ke dumedise the kings and queens ba te monana, ke dumedise kaofela community ho tswa ditulong tse fapafapaneng. My elders, I greet you all today. Kalibitso, my name is Samson Mawatle Masilo. I'm from Vredefort, Mukwallo. Bishop. Ke tswa-
A ke setulo se robeile.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you for direction. Before I get into my question, I just want to say post-1994,
Kopa re mo fe sebaka.
I just want to say post-1994 South Africa's democratic dispensation, this process of adopting the Khoisan community into the legislature should have done a long time ago. This process should have taken place long time ago. So by saying that, I therefore support the motion to amend this section 1 of the Free State, Provincial and Local Houses of Traditional Leaders, Act number 7 of 2017, to recognize and also to accommodate the Khoisan community in the Free State legislature as well in the provincial house. So by saying that, my chair, this question, it is my last question actually, it is my last remark. My question is that I want to know what is the plan or the mechanism that the Free State legislature has in place to intervene in the anarchy within the monarchies. Referring to the Zulu kingdom, the anarchy that we had in the Zulu kingdom, the Eswatini, the Ukumkani Kamakosa, we had also anarchy in the Botswana and also Kantlonya Bokhosi ya Botswana. So probably it might also happen in the Khoisan community. So I want to know what is the mechanism that you guys have in place to intervene in the anarchy that we are witnessing in the monarchies. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Number 4.
Amashe. Chairperson, thank you for the opportunity. I greet your panel. When we say Amashe, we recognize those that are with you. We believe that you are not working alone. You are with your ancestors or your forefathers, if you will, your angels. So mine, I've gone through the document, Chair, to say I support the bill. It's very difficult for me as the chief. In fact, let me do the right thing because, Chair, you have laid a foundation to say we must introduce ourselves. I'm Chief Motsamai Isaac Stefan from the National Khoisan Kingdom, praising the Abakwasan Royal House in Free State. We, on the, amendment section 3 of Act number 7 of 2017, on that section, it talks, I think it's page 2 of it, all the subsections there. What I've realized is, Chair, they tend to be more of a political, and not seeking to, we don't seek to be recognized because we do recognize ourselves as the indigenous, as the aborigines of this country. We are very aggrieved because we know that the Constitutional Court, has also said this needs to be amended. Yes, it has to be amendment, but our worry as the kingdoms is who is amending this bill, because now we're having a bill that is coming to us that is written by someone that we don't know. That needs to be addressed, Chair. And again, Chair, this particular section not only undermines the indigenous people of our country, but it also intentionally discriminates, enabling political interference, in cultural affairs. Such actions by government clearly aim to influence or try to meddle in our ancestral matters. And as we know that in terms of, in fact, they also using the electoral maneuvering around this. It's become more politicized than having to give our people a chance to bring their case forward. And this, Chair, we need to put it on record that it will be a constitutional matter that needs to be dealt with. If not constitutional, we will have to go to the International Court, because in terms of the UN Convention 169, it clearly states how the government should conduct itself when it comes to this matter. And it should be discriminate against the aborigines. And also we realize that this, exacerbates the long-standing wound that the government, the current government, is actually, it's by choosing to disregard, contrary to the, the directives of the UN convention. Because if you remember, Chair, this bill, I think the section, the United Nations Convention of 169, it's been there since 1980s. And it was supposedly, I think 2024 is a D-Day for government to comply with this, to ensure that it gives back the governance to the aborigines of this country. That we all know. We need to put it on record. So, this, in 2014, the government drastically failed to adhere to these principles, impeding the rightful assertion of the royals within all the kingdoms of the Khoisans. And we saw the government take a stand where they also, where King Thomas Edgar Brown first, who was coronated in Bloemfontein was supposed to be coronated in 2014, and he was coronated in 2016 as the monarch. So there were actually witnesses during that time. President Zuma was the witness. Honorable Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma was witness, and the TCC Church was the chair. So, and many other dignitaries, because this was televised. And by so doing, it's also, takes an opportunity to further divide all the Khoisans, because our understanding is South Africa is not a political state. By right, South Africa is a kingdom. It has always been a kingdom. And when the Khoisans, when the indigenous of this country, when our brothers came into this country, the indigenous people welcomed them with warm hands, So we need to put this on record to say there is a deep mistrust in government by the Khoisan community. We need to put it on record, Chair. It will be argued, but it's something that will have to go on and on and on. So my point of departure is, Chair, we know that there were Nhlapo commissions and other commissions that came. I think it's also in 2021 we attended one commission in Bloemfontein. I think my king, you will attest to that. And we argued our case very strictly, that we don't seek government to recognize us as such. So much so, yes, the part of recognition it's important. But our argument is how this recognition comes about, because if there is any political interference, it means that South Africa will remain a political state and all our people will not get the freedom or the wealth of this country. So this is the challenge that we currently facing, because now we need to address all the reparations that needs to come out to our people. We know that these reparations that needs to be paid by the countries that has inflicted pain to our people, it will never come until the Khoisans unite. All the kingdoms, they must unite.
So that is the whole matter, Chair. So the issue of memberships, issues of branches, we don't want to put it that way. We recognize that even if you can call it a township or a town, you're having ward. And then politically, obviously, when you go to those wards, you will establish branches. We like saying that these are the villages. And we don't recognize as the Khoisans the ward. We only recognize the ward when it comes to hospitals because it's where sick people are. So they are the villages. So we need to put it very clear, Chair, without fear of favor, Chair. Now, in conclusion, we'd like to thank you for this opportunity, but undoubtedly we doubt that it will bring a much anticipated effect because it also seeks to make the kings, the queens, the subjects to the political heads, which is very wrong. Thank you, Chair.
The honorable member here wanted to stand. I said, hold your horses, I will give you the chance. Before I come to this side, we are not here to advance a political agenda. We are here to take forward what has been the concern of exclusion of Khoisan community. That's why we are here. So that you don't misunderstood us. When we are here, I repeat, we are not advancing a political agenda of lobbying people to come and go for the votes. No. There are other processes that does that. Tina, we are here to say you have been crying about exclusion. Now, you have to be included based on the act. Now, the act was not responding to you. Now, the department concerned developed a bill so as to accommodate you. That's why we are here. Now, if you would come and say, no, why now? In essence, I want to advise that you are saying keep the status quo of exclusion. That's why I'm saying when we are here, we are not advancing an agenda. We are here to say to our people, what you have been crying, here is the bill. Input on the bill itself. So I want to request, and I've said it from where we are coming from, the bill cannot be an accepted bill into law if the people have not spoken. Remember, we are in democracy. Now, before you adopt anything, you must have ensured that you have consulted with the people, and the people have been given an opportunity to say their views. Here, we are in line with the Constitution because we want to give people an opportunity to input on this matter. But equally, like I've said, the bill is saying, yes, let's go to inclusion of the Khoisan into the House of Traditional Leaders. And in this particular fashion, how the bill have been placed in this fashion. Now I am not supposed to take any sides. If you say no, we will take it that Mokaka people said no. The status must remain the same. But in terms of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, you need to recognize every person in this country. All shall be equal. Any person must be equal. So there was this deficiency of exclusion of Khoisan people, and the bill seeks to go towards that direction. But if there are areas that you think here it is not agarring well, the platform is yours to raise them and say here it's not right, here it's not right. But I've not heard any person standing up and say we don't want exclusion and the recognition of the Khoisan people. I still have to listen to this side to hear her now. What do you say? Am I well understood? My duty is to try and assist all of you so that when you get into the debates, that's why when you look here, there are recordings. What you have said has been recorded. So can I come this side and take hands? I'm coming this side. I'm giving an opportunity for you to input. And please indicate whether you accept or you don't accept. It's very important. So raise your hand. I'm now taking. All right. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. When you off ramp, I'm not going to stop you. When you off ramp, I'm not going to stop you. I have tried to advise so that when you off ramp, outside this, the intention of the bill, it will not be taken forward because it will not assist us, because it must speak to the bill itself so that we can move forward. And I go over to number 1. Can you give the mic? Oh, please come this side, all of you, because we've got only one. I must take 4. I must take 4 first, not more than 4, because the chairs are 4. Harry Tebuhele, it's 4. I'm left with 5, 6, and 7. I'm left with 5, 6, and 7. Then when I come back, I'll be dealing with 5, 6, and 7. Number 1, please go.
Allow me to greet the fivefold ministries, who's also the foundation of me as a leader. Then allow me to say all protocols observed. Allow me to recognize my spiritual father and Leader George and his wonderful wife. Allow me to allow Leader Jainkis, our head woman. Allow me to recognize my king, King Michael Lungs. Allow me to acknowledge the Kaikusep, Bani Lungs, and all protocols observed in the traditional house of the Lungs Oral House and the broader community. Chairperson, my concern is, how can we even start to speak about, is the bill acceptable? Do we accept the different and various positions? Because there's a challenge in each and every house to discuss as a royal house beforehand. So when we come here to the public hearing, then we've got insight. That's why there's a lot of misunderstandings and people speak from various departments but not to the bill. First, Chairperson, my concern is is the resources as the Lungs Royal House. We cannot discuss all of these things because there's a financial strain on the house. So we would love, Chairperson, because my chief, Dawi will discuss the bill. I'm discussing the challenges that the house have in order for us to discuss this beforehand. For instance, I think this bill should be handed over to different houses to discuss. So when we come here, then there will be no discrepancies or misunderstandings or people speaking outside what is they expected to say. And now it's a challenge for us again today. For instance, I have an appointment at 1:30, and I've asked my chief here, can I please speak first because I've got an appointment. Chairperson, can the house please discuss financial gain for kings? Can we please discuss stipends for different leaders in different areas? I speak about Parys, Vredefort, Welkom, Kroonstad, Bloemfontein, so that it can be easy for us to discuss such matters which is concerning the different and various houses and communities. I would love to ask Chairperson and his entourage to really make it a point when it comes to financial gain of these houses because this is a bill, because to go to these places, I know there is sometimes that the government is providing us with fleet management, but that's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is we cannot discuss something in the spur of the moment without first discussing it as a house, because my king was in Kwakwa yesterday. He didn't call me. I don't know even if he accept the bill or not. So I will say accept the bill, accept the various positions, but then it will be contradictory to my king. So I would love the